Questions now?
When you're talking about the reforms you're supporting in education, you talk about school choice. Are you all proposing or supporting some kind of voucher system?
It's not necessarily a voucher system. We've looked at several things, but one program that we've looked at is called the Tax Credit Scholarship Program. It's where you actually save the money the state money by setting up a nonprofit where people can contribute to that nonprofit and then get maybe a half of that back in a tax credit. So if you do that, you save half of the cost of sending the student to public school. That's one program we're looking at. We're looking at it.
So would they get tax credits for sending students to private schools?
Wherever they chose to, wherever the nonprofit organization chose to give them a scholarship to go to school.
How confident are you that Republicans will have a majority in the House of this legislative assembly?
We're very confident. That's why we're here today. That's why we're putting this plan together. We don't want to be like the dog that finally caught the car. We want to get prepared. We want to be ready to lead when we do get the majority in November. We've got a lot of great candidates, and we're getting organized, and we're expecting the majority.
Well, based on why do you think that's going to happen?
Just with the polling that we've seen, with the attitude across the state, what happened in 2010, we believe there is a wave happening, and we're in front of that wave right now.
Is that why you're putting up the plan now?
Yes, we don't have anything to hide. We think we have good ideas, we think we have a good plan, and we want to get it out so people can see it, so people can comment to us about our plan. As I said, we are continuing to add to the plan. It will change between now and November, but this is the framework and this is where we're starting.
When you talk about the controls you want to do in Medicaid, is your belief that would be enough to address the shortfall, or do you think there are going to have to be cutbacks in services or eligibility for Medicaid?
No, we're not talking about cutbacks in services. We're talking about sustainability. Now, part of our plan is fraud, waste, and abuse reform. We introduced a bill for that during this fiscal session, but we didn't get any traction on it. But for every 1% of fraud, waste, and abuse that we could stop, it will save anywhere from $40 to $50 million. The federal government, in the Government Accountability Office report, said that nationwide Medicaid payments are as much as 10% are improper payments. So we know that there's a large amount of money that can be saved by implementing waste, fraud, and abuse reforms, but it's going to take more than that. And we want to look at market-based reforms.
What specific state agencies are ripe for spending restraint?
For spending restraints or for general reform?
Well, when you talk about spending restraints, where's the most bloat?
Well, when we talk about spending restraints, we're looking at the overall expenditures of state government. In the past 10 years, we've gone from $8 billion to over $20 billion in total expenditures. That's an increase of over 135% in 10 years. What we're wanting to do is implement some caps on spending on our general revenue budget. We have the Revenue Stabilization Act, which everybody agrees that's a good thing. It's kept Arkansas in good shape through this tough time. But what we do with revenue stabilization is we spend every penny that comes in. So all we want to do is look at a way to cap spending, not to cut spending, but to cap the growth in spending. We've run some numbers, and it looks like that had we gone back, say, to 2003 and implemented a 3% growth cap, which is right along with inflation, that we could have saved hundreds of millions of dollars a year, maybe around the neighborhood of $250 million a year, and still grown state government at a steady pace and allowed agencies to plan in a way that's consistent and it doesn't have large spikes and dips in it.
So would this be a cap that affects everybody across the board?
We have to work out the details of that, but if there may be some where it would be a little more and some where it would be less. One thing we're talking about is performance-based budgeting, where we want to make sure that we're getting the most efficient use of our agencies. There may be agencies out there that need more money to be more effective, but there may be some that have more money than they need. So we're going to have to do a review of all of that.
Does the Republican caucus, when we talk about tax reform, I know you talked a lot about income tax. The governor's made no secret that grocery tax has been his top priority. Is that something you'll support cutting that next session?
Cutting the grocery tax?
Yeah.
Well, as you know, Representative Carter is planning some committee meetings with the Revenue and Tax Committee, and they're going to look at all the tax cuts basically. And I wouldn't want to say right now whether or not we would support continue to cut the grocery tax or not. It's something we obviously supported in the last session, but we want to look at the whole tax code as one unit and come up with a good plan, not just looking at one specific area like the grocery tax.
What about the trucker sales tax break? Do you want to repeal that or keep it?
Personally, I want to keep that. There may be some in the group that want to repeal it, but that's a small tax compared to what the kind of tax reform that we're talking about.
What kind of consensus is there among the caucus for the plan as a whole? Obviously, there's a lot of members in your caucus, a lot of candidates. Is it?
Jason, as I mentioned earlier, we've been working on this for nearly a year. We had a policy committee that, we were coming up here at 8 o'clock last summer meeting. We've spent a lot of hours putting the plan together. We've shared it with the caucus. Our caucus has unanimously approved it and backs it. So I think there's great support from the caucus.
You were described as the next House Speaker. Are you as a group rejecting the results of the Speaker's election?
No, I'm the House Republican leader. Representative
I'm sorry, Terry Rice was described as the next Speaker. So is this group rejecting the results of the election?
Not of the election that happened back in the fiscal session, but the majority party has always had the Speaker of the House. We believe that it would be a disservice to the voters of Arkansas if they gave us the majority and we didn't have the Speaker of the House.